What's up, everyone? Welcome to popculture.com's group chat, where we talk about all the reality TV news that we care about and you really need to know. I am one of your hosts, Anna Rumor.
And I am Victoria Magotomy.
Jameson is sick today, which is a bummer for him, and we will miss him. So Jameson, feel better soon. I also wanted to start today's podcast. The world is a very difficult place right now. It's really tough. There's a lot of change going on. Our podcast is very silly. We provide you with news on like Julianne, Hough, and The Bachelor. So we don't pretend to be any kind of solution in this time. But if you're looking for a distraction, we're happy to be here. If not, you can turn off this podcast and turn on like 1613 or something like that. That has more information for you on the ongoing protests against racism and the Black Lives Matter movement. But I wanted to start off today's podcast by just saying Black Lives Matter, obviously, to us. We support the dismantling of systemic racism. There needs to be justice for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, who, if you're listening on Friday, would have been 27. So there are many other Black people who have been subject of police brutality and racism that we haven't named and who haven't gotten justice to this point, and they deserve justice. As white people, dismantling racism within ourselves and within our community means continuing to educate ourselves, having difficult conversations with people that we love, with ourselves, and continuing to listen to Black experiences and Black voices, actively working to eliminate racism within ourselves. So there's a lot of work to do in the white community. There are resources online. BlackLivesMatter.com has a lot there. And we shouldn't rely on Black people to do that emotional labor for us. So there's books. White Fragility is in the mail for me. I'm looking forward to reading that. So do your part, stay safe, and happy Pride, guys, which, if you forget, was made possible by Black women at Stonewall. So
I love that.
Yep.
I love you. Well said. But you know, we also work for a company who supports everything, who support Black Lives Matter. And that's what I love the most. I think you said it perfectly, Anna. I think that we need to actually ask ourselves some questions, you know what I mean? Before we start speaking about, you know, other things, if we haven't really done some self-reflection. So I think that that's key and very important.
Absolutely. There's no way to be a good ally if you're not willing to admit when you screw up and constantly be subject to self-examination. So we stand with you and we ally ourselves with you. Black Lives Matter, and we'll move on to the dumb stuff now, because sometimes you need a little levity. So here's that. Let's start off with some.
Love the transition, Anna.
You know, sometimes there's just not a transition.
Yes.
There's not a whole lot.
Let's move on to the dumb
these
stuff.
Topics. This is the dumb stuff. Let's start off with the Bachelor breakup that shocked absolutely no one. Colton Underwood and his girlfriend, Cassie Randolph, they announced that they have broken up this weekend. They have decided to remain a part of each other's lives. If you don't remember, Colton was the 2019 Bachelor who jumped the fence, because these people exit my brain the moment that I stop watching them on TV.
I was not surprised by this, honestly. Like, as soon as I heard about it, I was just like, did we not see this from day one? The girl was literally trying to leave from the show because she just wanted to make it to like the top 3 in hopes of potentially becoming the next Bachelorette for more options. And then he went and jumped a fence for her, pleaded for her, begged for her, and she was like, well, okay, I guess. Or, you know.
Right, because at that point you can't say no, because then you look horrible. So she had to be like, okay, you're nice, and you did put in a lot of effort, but everyone saw that her heart wasn't in it.
Well, exactly. And you know what I heard? Now, I have not read it yet, but I have like plenty of friends who have ordered and are currently reading his book. But apparently a lot of his book that just came out is about Cassie. So like, what weird timing that a lot of it, and I want to state, I don't know this for a fact. This is just what I'm hearing from my friends, but apparently his book is like heavy on Cassie, and as soon as it comes out, you know,
well, maybe she read it and was like, wow, this is a lot of energy coming my way for someone who's just dating me.
I wonder if the quarantine did it to them, because they were quarantining together.
They were, and she like nursed him back to health when he got coronavirus, which was very
Yeah.
nice of her, especially when I was thinking, man, if she wanted to break up with him back then and then he got coronavirus and she's like, well, I can't break up with you now. You're very ill. I have to take care of
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
then you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't get it from a guy I'm trying to break up with.
I
don't
know.
Maybe that's mean.
And then after he gets better, she's like, all right, now's my time. I
Excuses.
mean, we saw it coming though. I mean, I'm not surprised about this. I think that probably Colton's a lot more hurt than she is. I think she's been wanting out for, I don't know, since day one. So I'm not shocked about this.
Well, and it's tough too, because he does seem like he was really into her, and that's part of the pressure, is just when one person's way more into the other person. And he seems like a nice guy. I don't really know anything about him. I didn't like his season at all, but he didn't seem like a bad person. He just kind of seemed like a silly little puppy dog. So that sucks for him. But and I read a source that said that he was really, really trying to settle down, and Cassie is like, I wasn't trying to settle down on The Bachelor, and I'm not trying to settle down now. So if that's true, it kind of speaks to his authenticity of actually going on The Bachelor, though.
Well, and also too, I think we got to credit her as well for being true to herself. Like if she's truly just not ready, I mean, better to do it now than to get married for what, you know what I mean? So at least she's trying to be, and maybe honestly, I mean, maybe she really was trying to give it a fair shot. Like, okay, maybe if I just stay with him, I'll like him more, and and then we can get married and have babies and do the whole nine. But I think, I mean, because I spoke to her, I mean, for a pop culture exclusive, and she was very busy with school. And so I think that she's been very busy on just focusing on her next step career-wise. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. But
no,
again,
it's great.
It is great. I just think that, I don't know, maybe she tried to give it a fair shot, but I think that it doesn't shock anyone that this is.
Yeah. I mean, if a guy jumped a fence for me, I would also try and probably give it a fair shot, because that's,
I
mean, not romantic, but it's something. I don't know. The bar's very low for men.
Listen, we all, as women, we're all like, where's the nice guy? And then we get the nice guy and then we don't know what to do with him, right?
Well, sometimes the nice guy's a lot of energy. So,
True.
The last note that I wrote on this, which is also rude, but whatever. I just wrote, Tia is frothing at the mouth. Just kidding. We love you, Tia. I don't know what you're doing anymore, but I hope it's not the Bachelor in Paradise thing, because that was a lot too.
God. Yes.
Speaking of couples that broke up and we were all like, oh, shocked Pikachu gif. Julianne Hough and Brooks Laich, after about, I don't know, 6 months of pretending that they weren't going to break up, announced that they are getting a divorce. Friday,
Shocker.
They confirmed they're separating after nearly 3 years of marriage. Shocking. And they said that they have lovingly and carefully taken the time they need to arrive at their decision to separate, and they have an abundance of love and respect for one another. I mean, when it came out, I just thought, finally, we don't have to stop writing about them like they're still together.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that was, I mean, here's my thing. Like, I totally respect, and I think we talked about this during one of our episodes, but like, I totally respect privacy of celebrities. They deserve it. But at the end of the day, too, I mean, I kind of got sick of just writing about the same thing. Like, okay, we don't know where they're at. They keep like talking nice about each other. So like, okay, are we doing this for PR purposes, or are we doing this because it's genuine? So I'm kind of glad that they just like came out with it. We're like, okay, listen, we're done. And maybe they just needed time to figure it out, but I'm kind of just like ready to move on from that.
Right. I mean, for me, I respect the privacy of the people who are respecting their own privacy. And these people were constantly trying to garner headlines through their split, going out in public without their ring on, which if you really wanted privacy, you'd just keep it on when the paparazzi are going to be there, because, that's easy. They're talking about each other on their podcast. They're commenting on Instagram, like if you really wanted privacy, you wouldn't be doing this. You want us to be talking about it. And I got bored of it. So they're over, they're done with. I don't really know anything about these people individually. I know she's doing her weird Kinergy stuff. I'm sorry, her whatever Kinergy stuff. It might be weird, it might not be. We've all seen the video, make your own assessment. She's doing that with Oprah. He's got his podcast talking to women about what men like, which is a whole other topic, I guess. And then he's, I don't know, their timeline is lengthy and yet only about 3 years long, and I'm feel like it's been eternity.
The only thing that I would really care about after this is if they gave out more details as to why they really came to the split. But I don't know that they'll actually do that. But like, I kind of would be a little interested to know, like, okay, because like everyone had their assumptions at the beginning of the year, you know, after Brooks took to Instagram, people were kind of assuming like, okay, like, what are we dealing with? Is he realizing something about his sexuality that he hasn't explored yet? Or
right, because he said he did want to explore his sexuality more, and that was just a couple months after Julianne said that she's not straight. So everyone was like, is it them coming to a mutual agreement about their sexuality? What is it? And then they stopped. They weren't quarantining together, so everyone's like, okay, you're not together. Then they were like, yes, we are. No, you're not. Thank you.
Yes, we are. Nope. Yeah, no, I'm kind of, the only reason I would be interested is if they kind of came out and said why. But other than that, it's just like, okay, all right, they're done. Let's move on.
You know what? They do have some like Jana Kramer, Mike Causian, I don't know how you pronounce his name. They've got some of that energy in them. So maybe we will get a full podcast with them talking about it, because they're
they do seem like very open people.
I like how you just called them open. I just called them oversharers at the same second.
Oh.
Two sides of the same coin.
I know. You started freezing just a little bit. So I was like, wait, Anna, what?
Yeah, very funny. It's true. It's the same thing. It's just two words.
Listen, great minds think alike, okay? This is why we're on a podcast together.
Exactly. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how Kylie Jenner is not a billionaire anymore, which is my favorite news of 2020, and Lea Michele. She's apparently not great, which, you know, another shocker for the pod. All right, we are back, and we are dismantling Kylie Jenner's empire. Just kidding. She's still probably worth about $900 million, which is an ungodly amount of money. Yes, but the interesting news is Forbes has now rescinded Kylie's title of billionaire, which they first awarded her in 2018, saying that after reviewing new public documents of Coty, which is the company that bought Kylie Cosmetics, there's no way that her company was worth that much when they coined her a billionaire. He said that her team had been trying to score a Forbes cover since Kim got one in 2016, and accused Kylie's team of giving them doctored tax returns to inflate her net worth.
I was going to say, when I read this article, I mean, they straight up came out of the gates for Kylie Jenner. Like, if I were Kylie, and then she tweeted, she's like, what am I waking up to? Like, I would have done the same thing, because I was reading that and just like, what just happened? Like, you guys just gave her the title, and then now, a couple of months later, here we are. But they were pretty savage with it.
So they first awarded her this back in 2018. So it's been years.
Oh my God, has it already been?
Yeah. They called her the youngest self-made billionaire a couple months ago, but they first ranked her as a billionaire in 2018. So that's when the documents were.
Flies.
Right, okay. I know. And then Forbes was reviewing these documents. I was like, that doesn't track. There's no way that her company could be making. I'm not a math person, so please just go read the article if you want the details, like money wise. But they were reading the public now. Profit of Kylie Cosmetics. And it's like, there's absolutely no way that this matches up. There's no way that her company dropped in value this much in just since being sold to Coty. So they went back and they are accusing her team of giving them doctored tax documents, which is, and I don't doubt it's real.
Yeah, and they pretty much said, like, during some of the article that, like, this is not a fact, but based on our findings, it is likely that they had forged documents. It is likely that her company was not worth as much as what she said it was, which, Kylie, girl, that ain't a good look. Like,
well, and do you know what's even a worse look? Right afterwards, she tweeted a bunch of angry stuff. Like, I can name a list of 100 things more important right now than fixing on how much money I have. And then everyone's like, oh, there are a lot more important things happening right now, like the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter protests. We haven't really seen anything from you about that. And then she tweeted 3 times about it. # so brave. Thanks, Kylie.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. That family is, it's just not a good look, girl. Not a good
look. And it's just so interesting to me to see that 2 years her people were, campaigning to get this Forbes cover after Kim got one for her mobile game. And it's like, man, can you imagine that toxic relationship with your manager / mom / sister? It's like, your sister can get a Forbes cover. Can't you get one?
You broke that down perfectly. I mean, because that's not something that you and I have to think about right now, but I can only imagine Kris Jenner like behind her little cell phone, just trying to like make stuff happen. And her poor daughter's over here just trying to be a 22-year-old and live her life. And here we are, freaking lip kit, putting her on the next level on the Forbes cover. And then now all of a sudden she's not, but they were I encourage, if you guys have not read that interview, I highly encourage you to do, I'm sorry, not an interview, but the article. If you have not read that article about her, I think that you should, because they break it down section by section. And quite frankly, like, I just feel like that's a ballsy move on someone who has so many eyes on her. If that is true, that is a ballsy move on her end, because to think that no one would find out, because Forbes said that they have to go in and pretty much do their own investigating and look at all the documents, all of her tax returns, and all that stuff. I'm not a money person. I'm not like a business person. Right. So forgive my lack of professional terms, but they have to go in and look, pretty much like prove that she is a billionaire. So if they fooled, Forbes, and then this comes out that it's not true, like, she gonna will it affect her though? I guess that's
no one cares. I mean, it's interesting, but like, it's not, she already has a $900 million. That's, but people who don't like Kylie don't like Kylie. People who this would sway in one direction or the other are not her diehard fans anyways. And, and it's interesting to note that she can come out and deny this all she wants, because she never has to release her tax returns. They can never prove it because she never has to release her actual tax returns. Of course she can provide doctored ones, because they would have to come from her team. So it would not be difficult to fake this. It would just require, Forbes to, you can't.
You're teaching me something.
Tax documents aren't public record, so she would have to release that for them. And so they were probably a little too trusting, accepting those tax documents and not accepting them from, maybe a verified encrypted source or something like that. But there's really no way to prove either way. So now they're both at like a detente where they're like, well, you lied. No, I didn't. Well, okay. And then it just has to stand there. So,
well, and here we are. Kylie Jenner's still
talking about it.
Richer and makes more money than we'll probably ever make in our lifetime.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Here we are.
She's still a bajillionaire. But the one other interesting thing that I wanted to bring up is that we've been talking about too many breakups.
Oh, too many breakups. That's what's ingrained in our head today.
breakup. No, but the other thing that's interesting is, it's been such a talking point in the press that Kylie owns all of Kylie Cosmetics and she's making all the money, all the profits coming to her. And while investigating this, Forbes discovered that there is a KMJ, Kris whatever Jenner, 2018 irrevocable trust controlled by Kris Jenner that has a profit interest in Kylie Cosmetics. So they say that money goes right back to Kylie, but I don't think so. The name certainly doesn't suggest that trust is going to Kylie. So it seems like Kris Jenner's taking a lot of that money too.
Stingy. I know why she's got favorite daughters now. Stingy little Kris. She's only supposed to be taking like, I think 10%. Chloe called her out one day. Chloe was like, I'm not paying you 10% to act like this, to put me on the bottom of the list. I was like, you tell her, Chloe.
Well, they got different contracting negotiations with their mom, which is just a whole different level of family dynamic that I don't want to be a part of.
I don't know that I would want that dynamic with my mother. Like that's you're talking business and family.
Listen, if they gave me $900 million to have that dynamic with my mother, for sure. But if we're starting off with that, no, I will pass. I like my mom.
Yes. I don't want to like dislike my mom. Yeah, exactly.
So that's fascinating. Read the Forbes article. I can't express to you how excited my face was the entire time I was reading it. I was like, oh,
I know, you can't stop reading. You're just like, oh my, as you keep scrolling, you're just like, oh, what?
On the side, I'm just Googling. I'm like, profit interest. What is that? Like,
I know. I was like, you sounded just so educated on like everything. I was like, okay, Anna, like I need to step up my game when I talk about stuff like this.
Don't worry, guys. That's
I'm feeling super uneducated right now.
That's not off the top of my head. That is something I had to look up. So
thank you, Google.
Yeah. Another thing that we need to talk about this week is the downfall of Lea Michele, which for me has been not welcome, but not surprising. She's always struck me as someone who seemed like a little bit of a nightmare. And now we know that that's probably true. Samantha Marie Ware, who was on Glee season 6. I did not watch till season 6 of Glee. If you did, bless you. I did watch the first couple seasons though, and it's wild. Same. But so Lea Michele tweeted about George Floyd, and Samantha tweeted back at her, said that she made her experience on Glee a, quote, living hell, and threatened to blank in her wig. Yikes.
Well, oh, sorry. I'll let you finish. I get so excited to chime in. Well, I was going to say too, like when I was reading that, I thought kind of something like you did. I'm like, I mean, it kind of wouldn't surprise me, but like, I don't know. Like I do kind of maybe view her as a, you know, like, oh, you're cute, you know, but then other cast members started coming out and kind of backing her. And I was just like, dang, if that many people are willing to sit behind and say, you tell her, girl, like you must have really not been a nice person to work with or be around.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Newell, Amber Riley, and Davia Snell all backed her up. They posted shady gifts, recounts of how they treated them. Heather Morris put out a like kind of a weird statement that was like, Leah's not racist, but maybe she is, but also called her unpleasant to work with. But then was like, well, she's learning and growing. I don't know. I read it and was like, what am I supposed to get from this other than she's not fun? But she strikes me as a former theater kid, so you can't take offense at this. I was one of you. She has extreme theater kid energy in a way that I was like, oh God, she's not fun off stage. And I can tell that just based on her persona and her energy.
I just feel like as a celebrity with social media now, I feel like people should be a lot more aware of, you just be a nicer person. Okay. You can get called out real quick on Twitter. And then next thing you know, HelloFresh is cutting their ties with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just,
how about this? Be a nicer person because you don't want to be a bad person.
A bad person. Like, I just don't, I never understood the entitlement of certain celebrities that, you know, I don't get it. Like, yes, a lot of people might know your name, you know, but like, why do we need to be a mean person? You know, like what kind of entitlement does that give you? That's a character problem. Okay.
It is, but it's also what happens when no one tells you no and everyone tells you you're special and perfect from the time you're very young. So I both understand where she got that from, but there are plenty of celebrities who have educated themselves and done work on themselves, so they're not that way. So I really can't absolve her in any way, shape, or form. She did apologize, though. She issued a really weird gaslighty kind of apology, said that she didn't remember saying any of those things, but that's not the point, which is true. That's not the point. But she said that, quote, her co-stars have, quote, made me also focus specifically on how my own behavior towards fellow cast members was perceived by them. What? Perceived by them? What you did to them? Because what they perceived is what happened. Yeah. And then she said, whether it was my privileged position and perspective that caused me to be perceived as insensitive or inappropriate times, or whether it was just my immaturity and me being unnecessarily difficult, I apologize, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, now you sound like you're making yourself the victim, and we do not feel bad for you. Like, oh, my privilege and my perspective had me perceived as insensitive, but I'm great. Like, no, girl, own up to it. You sound like you've been really mean to people. Own it. Say, oops. I am sorry, I suck, and I'm sorry, and I will be better. I can't handle these celebrity. We get them all the time. These apologies where they just, I'm sorry if you think I'm mean. Like, just own it and say sorry.
Yes.
Be an adult.
I know. Well, and you know who I think has done this? I don't know why this reminds me, but I feel like Kevin Hart has done a really good job. There for a while after one incident, he did have a little stubborn moment, you know, and I think everyone, okay, I feel like I need to like pick my words carefully. I feel like at least if that's how you truly feel, then own it. You know what I mean? But
so we know not to support you.
Yes.
And we don't like you.
Yes. Like, I mean, but the one thing I loved about Kevin Hart was that he came back around and he said, I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, he took a couple of months to really think about his stance on, you know, the situations that he's been criticized for. And he came around and he was like, you know what? I was wrong here. And I've done a lot of thinking and I'm doing a lot of self-reflecting. And he's been so honest with his journey. Like, I appreciate that. Like, to me, when he finally came around and was like, I was wrong, I didn't feel like that was a PR stunt. I felt like that was a human being who took time to think about what he has said, how he treated a certain group of people, and gave thought into it, and then came out on the other side a better person because of it. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like when you hear some, like Lea Michele's apology just felt so like insincere to me, you know. And I just feel like, okay, maybe, you know, okay, if that's how you feel, I don't know. I know we've talked about this before, and this is just my personal opinion. I feel like I just want to know whether I should support you or not. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Don't hide behind terms.
Yeah, like, I don't want a fake apology. I want like a real apology. If that were me, if somebody offended me and you're just apologizing because you want to save your brand or because your team is telling you to, like, that to me is not an apology I want to hear. I want to hear a sincere apology. And if it takes 6 months or a year for you to get there, then so be it. But you know what I mean? So I'm hoping that maybe she'll come around and she'll, you know, just maybe be a nicer person to be around because of this. Maybe because she got called out. Maybe that's what she needed, you know?
Hopefully, I don't know. But if she doesn't, at least everyone should look on Twitter and search for her name, because people who have worked with her in the past, like, people who aren't super famous, but people are, they're sharing the best stories. So that's quite the read if everyone wants to, you know, as we wait on her possible reflection on who she is as a person. And and pray and hope and pray for change, because everyone can change.
Yes.
If you want to read about the unpleasant experiences, they're very interesting and they're all on Twitter.
That's what I found very interesting, is that this isn't just one person accusing her. You know what I mean? Like, this is several people coming out the woodwork. And I'm like, dang, girl. That must not feel nice to be called out like that.
Yeah, you got to do some personal self-reflection if literally the consensus of everyone is that you suck. Like, I don't know.
You might want to just be a better person. Yeah.
There's a lot
Take this time to work on yourself.
Got to revamp your personality there. Okay, so let's move on to our pop culture picks of the week. Obviously, this week isn't a very fun pop culture week, but for me, one really powerful moment and a video that I think everyone should look up, because I'm not going to do it justice, was Keke Palmer. Yes, we stand before, we stand now, and we stand later. Speaking to the National Guard during LA protests, she's calling for them to march with her, to march with the protesters, to make history, and protesters around her do call for them to take a knee with them, and they do. And it's a really powerful moment. I'm not describing it well here because it's a video, I know, it's like, I'm doing a bad job, but you should look it up. Yeah. It's all over everywhere. Just Google Keke Palmer and it's everywhere. So I was really proud of her because I like her already. And I was like, oh, I knew I liked you. You're amazing. And
you're just a great person. I love Keke Palmer. I feel like these videos, these powerful videos, like, our words cannot do justice to them. You just have to go watch them yourself. You know what I mean?
It's like, I'm not even going to try. I'm going to make it seem dumb. It's not. It's really good. Yeah. So look at it.
Well, that's along the same line. I mean, it was a heavy week. It's been a heavy year, but it was for sure a heavy week. And I think that as much sadness as we've seen, we've also seen a lot of positivity. and a lot of people, bracing arms and standing together. And I know there's a couple of videos that are going around that are like this, but police officers who are standing with the Black Lives Matter movement, I think is like super powerful. You've got a number of cops who are willing to march and walk with you. And there was one video that I saw, I kid you not, I was watching it and it literally brought me to tears. It was a cop and it was a Black woman, and they were surrounded by a number of people, and everyone was encouraging them to take a knee together. And they took a knee together, and the woman, just fell to tears. Mm-hmm. And I have goosebumps just thinking about it. Again, I'm not doing a very good job at describing these videos, but like they're powerful. It's so powerful to see people coming together and really, I think, taking a stand in what we know is wrong, and racism is wrong. It just is. Yep. It's not nice and it's wrong, and we don't stand with that. So it's been very amazing, I think, just to see so many people coming together of all ethnicities, of all backgrounds, and just kind of walking together. So there have been a lot of good stuff on social media. I know it's heavy right now, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. And I think, Anna, yours is great too. It's a good video.
It is. Yeah. I saw a tweet earlier this week that I don't understand how to put it better than this, but it's how are you going to be on the wrong side of history when it repeats itself? This is an open book test. So, we've seen what happens before. This is not unprecedented. So make the right decisions, stand up for what's right. And donate your money if you're unable to go outside, because I know there's a pandemic going on too, like that 1-2 punch, guys. But donate, open your purse. If you can't, there's YouTube videos that you can play in the background so that advertising money goes to Black Lives Matters. There's so many ways to help. There's so many resources online. So many people are standing up and coming up with creative ways for you to do your part, regardless of what you're able to do. So I encourage everyone to speak publicly and don't let yourself be silenced on this. Just continue to speak out, continue to do the right thing.
I was going to say, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like there's something very different about this time and this movement and what happened. And I hate that it was at the cost of George Floyd's life, but I feel like people are really starting to put their foot down, you know what I mean, on both ends, and say, okay, we've got to make a change, and it needs to be a positive change.
There is change in the wind, and no justice, no peace.
Yep.
The saying. So let's go forth and try to do one thing today that can support the Black community, or if you're a part of the Black community, just do something to care for yourself today. So don't forget to follow. This is not your self-care, but also just a different plug. Don't forget to follow popculture.com. We've got all your up-to-date news. We're on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Anna Rumor.
And I'm Victoria Mogatomy.
And then don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, everything like that. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully we've got some good news for you.
Yeah. Bye.